is back. Are you the same classes that were here earlier? Oh, it's a different group. Good afternoon and welcome to the Manila Bulletin Sustainability Focus Session. I hope you're all looking forward to some very, very insightful talks, especially on how the real estate industry is actually applying sustainability. But first off, were you able to check out the partner booths that we have downstairs at the ground floor? There are 6. Raise your hand if you did. Nako, wala pa rin. Well, you might want to do that because if you complete visiting our 6 partner booths and you get a stamp per booth, nakailan na tayo? Wala pa rin. The first 100 Tomasians to present completed stamps per booth get a sweet treat from Manila Bulletin. If you present it over there, that maroon table over there, we call that the function area. But there's no one there right now, and you can only do it at the end of the program na. Okay, kasi nandito na kayo. Hindi na namin kayo pakakawalan hanggat sa tapos ang ating programa. But don't worry, trust me, time will fly by. There are so many insights to get from our speakers this afternoon. So please settle in and get ready to listen. And since we are talking to a new batch, do you see the QR codes around the ballroom? There are QR codes. Please scan those QR codes and fill up the registration and survey forms because that will qualify as a raffle entry for Watson's gift bags. And, ayan, nabuhayan. Talaga nabubuhayan, hindi na kayo mag-shopping, o di ba? Hindi lang yun. Gift certificates for a very popular coffee house, coffee brand as well. So please do scan those QR codes. Make sure you fill up both entry forms, a registration form and a survey form. And then I will announce the winners of Watson's gift packs and those gift certificates from a coffee house at the end of the program. All right. So with that said, don't forget to visit the partner booths. Please allow me now to introduce the gentleman who will be introducing our afternoon's keynote speaker. Here is Manila Bulletin's editor for Property and Living and Sustainability Environment section, Mr. Ray Ilagan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon session of the focus session. So, good afternoon. Our next keynote speaker was the former regional director and head of project leasing of Jones Lang LaSalle Incorporated. She has also been the general manager of Regis Manila, a pioneering company for modern and flexible workspace solutions. She was one of the key figures who spearheaded Regis' innovative concept of co-working and plug-and-pay offices in the early 2000s. Her excellence in the real estate industry and her advocacy in championing women empowerment earned her the distinction as the chairwoman of the Women in Business Committee of the European Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines, providing a platform for mentoring and uplifting Filipina professionals. Please welcome the Chief Executive Officer at Lobien Realty Group, Ms. Sheila Lobien.
Good afternoon, everyone. I see a lot of young women here. I'm excited. So it's good to be here. I'm requesting for a wireless mic so I can see my slides and walk also. Again, first, I'd like to thank Philip from the Manila Bulletin for the invite. It's such an honor and a privilege to be with like-minded individuals, people, companies who are pushing sustainability, not just in real estate, but in all other sectors, businesses here in the Philippines. All right, okay. So this afternoon, I was requested to talk to you about real estate and sustainability. And when you talk about sustainability in real estate, it's very simple because real estate for us, it's not abstract. You see it, buildings, offices, warehouses, malls, hotels. Those are all properties, real estate, tangible. And when we say sustainability, it's basically balancing the negative effects of property building, construction, with the economic viability of the projects. At the same time, the social well-being or people who will be using that space eventually. And since we're all young people here, you're the next generation. So what the companies are doing today, of course, the Philippine government, this sustainability front, all the, I think, buzzword or things that you've heard this morning, it's just really simple to make things last so that you, the next generation, the next batch, will be able to enjoy not just the properties, but the environment, the community. It's making everything last. And hopefully they'll last beautifully for you to enjoy it. So, the rising need of sustainability in the property sector, why it's important, why people are pushing for that, and economically, why we need that for the country. So I'll talk about that. And today, as you can see, there are a lot of challenges. And Asia, where the Philippines is located, the pressing or the concern is the climate change, the urbanization, a lot of people living in Metro Manila, bulk of economic activities, they're still centered here in Metro Manila, NCR and NCR Plus. So imagine how many people living in a very small place. So the recent typhoon, a little rain, flooding na agad. That's the main concern. And the next few years, I think in 5 years, this is another concern, the rising population, overcrowding of public spaces. Metro Manila alone has almost 15 million people. It's a mega city. What is a mega city? A mega city is any city that has more than 10 million people living in it. And imagine that, we're very small and we have 14.9 million people living in Metro Manila. And it is expected that in the next 5 years, another 2 million will inhabit Metro Manila. So if the government and the private sectors will not do anything about this, it's going to be impossible, unlivable for us to be here. The traffic alone, you can feel that already. So aside from that, we've experienced the pandemic. And after, during the height of the pandemic, if you were staying in a very small condominium wherein you can't even open the window to have fresh air come in and no sunlight coming in, you'll go crazy. That's another topic, depression and all that. But those are just some of the items or challenges that we've experienced. Today, the Philippines, in terms of sustainability, global sustainability ranking, we still lag. We're still far behind our ASEAN neighbor. We're 92nd out of 140 plus countries, UN members. So there's challenges in research and development, housing, a lot of slums out there, and the government is currently addressing the housing backlog of the country. Aside from that, the transportation, public infrastructure that we have. But there are a lot of good stories and improvement right now that we see happening. So what are the actions and strategies of many companies? Earlier today, we've heard several companies doing their best and contributing to the sustainability, net zero, whatever, just to make sure that hopefully the next generation will be able to enjoy the community, better environment, sustainable Manila, Philippines eventually. And in the property sector, in the commercial real estate business, there are a lot of green projects or green certifications today. And I think most of the attendees here are from the engineering, economics, and business management department or architecture. And you've probably heard about all these green technical certifications. In the past, when we were starting to lease Fort Bonifacio like 20 years ago, and he mentioned that, I started my real estate career when there were just probably 1 or 2 green buildings in the Philippines. So when we were trying to help a big multinational company back then, there were only 2 buildings that are green certified. So one is Zwilig in Makati and Sun Life in BGC. But today, 15 years after, we have more than 400 plus green buildings. So this is good news. Companies are cognizant of the fact that they have to make properties, building that will last, that has a sustainable element in it. It's not just a must-have today, it's really a requirement, not just, things that nice to have, but it's a requirement today, especially the big global companies who are requesting for properties that are green certified. And some of the sustainability campaigns that we hear also, big architectural firms, small ones, and big developers and boutique developers, they're already advocating green, smart, livable city. And we need this. In the next how many years, the population will continue to grow. In the Philippines, we have 110 million Filipinos. And imagine in 10 years' time, you will get married, you will have kids, you will need more space. And hopefully, the developers will address that concern by providing a smart city where you can live, work, play in one area. And it's being done today. So the local government units also are being assessed, and we have this from the National Competitiveness Council, wherein they ranked multiple municipalities and cities all over the Philippines in terms of their economic improvement, governance, innovation, infrastructure, and resilience, so that when another pandemic happens or flooding, they'll be able to address that. And now, the next question is, why is this important? Is it really doable? Because like this morning, I think one of the topics was to do something green or to build a green project, it's expensive. So not many developers are welcoming that idea. And then the next question is, will there be companies or people who'll pay a premium? If I build something green, can I ask for more? Because I spent a lot in building this. And the answer is yes, because globally, a lot of companies are also rolling out their ESG compliance, environmental, social, and governance. And one of that is in the environmental. They're very conscious because of the climate change, the urbanization happening everywhere. And there are a lot of big firms, companies who are here today, who are willing to pay a premium just to be in a property that's green, that's smart, that has a conscience. And it's part of their sustainability plan. And the Philippines is actually in the world stage. I'm sure you're very familiar with the outsourcing industry. We're the #1 when it comes to call center voice. And second, when it comes to non-voice, a lot of talented young Filipinos. And the big firms, the global companies, Fortune 500 companies, multinational firms, they're coming here in the Philippines because of the talent, because of us, the local, and the very, I see a lot of young women. And the next few speakers are all women here. So it's part of that social part, diversity and inclusion is also included there. And companies now, they're promoting a lot of their women leaders to take the senior role, which is fantastic for all the young women that I see here. The future is brighter for you. Compared to us 20, 30 years ago, it was so hard to be a leader, a woman leader in an organization. But today, you will be supported, and companies are recognizing the value of women leaders in any company. So aside from all that I've mentioned, the government is also pushing the infrastructure project, which we need to make the Philippines even more competitive. We want our competitive ranking to move up, and big companies will look at that. So the infrastructure projects that we have all over the Philippines will decongest Metro Manila, will make Metro Manila livable. The traffic today is really crazy. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm happy, because I know when it's traffic, there's movement in the market, and we want that to happen. We want people to go out, we want people to spend. I see SM, Ayala, they're happy because the malls are again packed, right? A lot of people are going out, shopping, traveling, and that's good. And there are a lot of projects, the Luzon Spine Expressway Network connecting Metro Manila to Calabarzon and Central Luzon, which will decongest Metro Manila and will bring urbanization in the provinces. We need that. We need more space, more smart cities, livable cities. to house a lot of Filipinos. As mentioned, the housing backlog of the Philippines is still big. A lot of opportunities there. That's why a lot of developers are coming up with sustainable projects. Living area that's near public transportation. And hopefully we can see this. We can see this in our lifetime, if not our kids' lifetime. An environment where Filipinos can really use the public transportation, like what you see in Hong Kong, Singapore, and other first world countries. You can ride the train, the bus, to go from one point to another. In the Philippines, it's not the case yet. You bring your cars everywhere. That's why the traffic is crazy. But hopefully we'll get there. And that's why we need to support all the government projects and companies who are supporting sustainability as well. So in summary, these are the key takeaways. There is really a rising need for us to embrace sustainability in real estate, not just in real estate, but in other aspects, in other industries. As mentioned, the country lacks, we're still far behind when it comes to our sustainability ranking. We need to work on the housing, the public transportation, and of course, the infrastructure. And constructing green projects, as mentioned, there is really economic benefit there. The National Competitiveness Council, wherein they ranked the LGUs, the local government mayors, chiefs, that's very important, I think, so that they'll be really competitive, they'll improve the city, they'll make things work, so that us will benefit from that. And overall, as mentioned, there is really economic benefits when the country is sustainable. Our global competitiveness ranking will move up. More companies will look at the Philippines, will invest here in the country, and at the same time employ a lot of Filipinos, which will be good for the people who will be graduating soon. There will be more jobs for you, and you don't have to go abroad because there are a lot of opportunities here in the country. The outsourcing industry is a big industry, aside from the OFW remittances that we're getting. The outsourcing industry alone is around $39 billion US. That's a lot of money. A lot of business opportunities can be made because of the growth in that segment alone. Plus, the tourism industry is also growing. And with that, this is us, companies that we've worked with, local and multinational firms, my co-founders, and you may follow us online if you want to know more about what's happening in the real estate and in the property sector. And with that, I wish everyone a pleasant afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for that. Again, Ms. Sheila Lobien. And that just set the tone for what we're going to hear more about this afternoon. A very, very promising future indeed, especially when it comes to the real estate market here in the Philippines. Now let's hear the real estate's giants and their sustainability practices. Beginning with the first brand that we have is the largest and the fastest growing real estate developer in the Philippines, championing perfectly integrated commercial and residential environments. They provide every Filipino and its investors access to a sustainable and attainable cosmopolitan lifestyle. We have with us the AVP of Head of Corporate Planning and Development at SM Development Corporation, Ms. Jessica Jika C. Hi, Jika. Good afternoon, welcome. Say hi to our Tomasians. Say hi, Tomasians. Hello. There.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Let's get comfy, Jika. So,
Thank you for having me, first of all.
Oh, you gotta thank them.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Manila
having
Bulletin.
me. I was looking around your school earlier. It's such a beautiful campus, and it's very inspiring to see how quickly it's grown and how much it's grown over the years.
Diba? And talagang makikita mo yung architecture.
Ganda.
One of the biggest things it's one of the pride of UST courses.
It's such a good example of what Philippine heritage architecture is, and I think it's something that needs to be celebrated more.
Well, earlier this morning, most of our speakers were actually alumni, also of UST. But also, most of the speakers this morning were gentlemen. So tama si Sheila na ngayon, this afternoon, we have female leaders in the house. But we do have a gentleman then mamayang hapon. Okay, we're not discriminating at all. Anyway, Jika, we're here to talk about SMDC's living framework for sustainable city and smart city initiatives. But first, how do you differentiate the two? What's sustainable city and what is smart city or communities?
We kind of see sustainability as part of the whole smart city. So in order for us to have a smart city, sorry, I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to click this. I'll put it down. For us, in order for us to have a smart city, we really see a smart city as something that's sustainable, but sustainable across so many different sectors. So we don't just look at green buildings and adding net zero emissions, but rather how the city is being used. So that's what we think about, first of all, when we think about smart cities. So for us, smart really is intelligent design. We want to be anticipating the usage for many years to come.
Especially post-pandemic. That one that Ms. Lobian was saying, hindi ka dati makapagbukas ng bintana.
Tama.
Now, definitely moving forward, we don't want that to ever happen again. We really want to live life when we especially invest in a future home. Diba? So, another big topic this morning was how sustainability should be practiced with profitability. And of course, SMDC, SM Prime is one of the biggest, if not the biggest of them all. Is sustainability profitable in your companies?
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a very good question. Personally, I think that profitability is actually a key driver of sustainability. It kind of like earlier, Miss Sheila Lobian mentioned earlier that it does drive up prices, but we see that the long-term benefits really outweigh the initial cost. The UNDRR, which is the United Nations Department of Disaster Risk Reduction, actually says that for estimates for every dollar spent for disaster risk reduction and resilience, you make back about $15, and that's over the lifetime of a project. So we're really investing for the future.
And not just investing, you're also, how do I say it? Partnering.
Correct.
You're not even saving nature. You're
Correct.
partnering with nature because you have nature-based solutions. You want to expound on that, like stormwater management and other initiatives like that?
Yes, yeah. So I'm an architect by trade, and I don't know if there are any architecture students here. Wala ata. Oh, there.
And raise your hands. Sino mga architectures na? Ayan, marami.
Ang dami.
Half the
Great.
ballroom.
Great. Good luck. Good luck. It's an exciting industry, but it's actually a very interesting industry. And one of the first things that we were taught in my first year was that water is the enemy of developments. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because water's beautiful, it's inspiring. We love beachside resorts, beachside developments, but really water destroys so much and it's uncontrollable. So the unpredictable nature of water is really what we try as architects to control as one of our jobs. So when we design for developments that we know are flood prone or affected by water
Plus
areas,
our climate and weather, yeah.
or I don't know, rain. Sometimes we have that every once in a while here in Manila. We have to really design around it. So we've already integrated things like water catchment basins within many of our developments. I believe it's 25 of our malls and integrated developments now have water catchment basins that are developed within the whole project. So when I say a water catchment basin, it's a mix between natural design but also mechanical innovation. Yeah, so it's recyclable, but we also try to collect the water from the surrounding communities so that we don't overrun the local area. And then, here's a good example. And then when the rain has subsided and the floodwaters around have subsided, we then slowly pump the water out. So we have that mechanical and action around it. And that helps reduce the load on just the surrounding area. Yeah, so the dams, the communities around. So this is one of our projects, field residences. So we realized that after building it, we realized that it is in a flood-prone area. It's an older project. We've actually completed it, and people have moved in. And many years later, we realized that the flood waters around the area are rising because we do experience climate change, and we're one of the most disaster risk affected countries in the world. And so we came back in as the company and decided that we wanted to help the community, not just the ones that are living in field, but the ones that are living around it. So we identified an area within the project that we had already turned over. We'd worked with the local government, different consultants, and of course the condo corporation to see how we can help mitigate the flood risk. And I'm actually super proud to say that in the recent, and we've been doing this in a number of our properties for many years. So in the recent Typhoon Karina, none of our properties had floods. None. So we're very proud of that.
So that's how you learn. And it's not necessarily always in the planning stage. Thank you that even once the project has been turned over, it's already being lived in by actual people. It doesn't mean you give up on it. You still keep checking on your projects and making sure the people living in your properties and even now around it get to still benefit from your learnings. Wonderful. That's a wonderful message, Chica.
Because we've been around, SM Prime has been around for almost 70 years now. I think we've just hit our 70th anniversary. It's a little bit contentious depending on who's counting.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that SM Prime is known as a company that's going to stick around for a long time, and we're thinking long term. So I think when I was looking at this whole program of sustainability, a lot of ESG discussions came up. So ESG, as many people know, as environmental social governance. But actually in SM Prime, we look further than that. So we have a thing called ESL.
What is L?
So it's environmental still, social, but instead of governance, which we believe is just ticking off boxes, it's leadership.
Yeah, leadership.
Yes.
There you go. Talagang taking the lead and making it your way, making it your own. Now, besides, again, nature, of course, with storm or rainwater, there's also biodiversity. Let's not forget, it's not just about the elements, but even the flora and fauna around the area. You want to talk more about your initiatives here?
Yeah, so...
Biodiversity.
Yeah, that's actually super exciting. I'm a little bit of a plantita. You wouldn't be able to tell in my office. Some people from SMDC are here, and my office is very sparse. But at home, I love plants, and I actually love experimenting with native plants because...
Before pandemic pa, ha?
Yes,
Okay.
actually.
Hindi lang during.
Yeah, no, no. They lasted after pandemic, so I'm very proud of that. So we're passionate about really figuring out what a Filipino development is. And so with that, we wanted to see how we could celebrate the fauna and flora of the Philippines. Unfortunately, the Philippines isn't very known for its fauna, but we have... it's fauna as well. So the animals here are quite limited in terms of the endemic animals. So what we do have, we want to protect and we want to celebrate. So we try to specifically choose our plants that are native or naturalized, that integrate well and don't harm the local environment. So for example, we choose our trees, like we found out that African tulips are not good for our native bees. And so, unfortunately, they are beautiful plants. They're beautiful trees. And you see them, especially during summer, and they're bright red. But we've found studies that they actually aren't beneficial to our local insect population. And so we've tried to reduce these type of plants that don't benefit the local environment.
So we at least get to celebrate our sampaguitas, santans,
Yes.
gumamelas,
Yeah,
you know.
My favorites are katmon. I think they smell beautiful and they are beautiful as well. And you can see when they're blooming that they're covered in different insects. And so inside of our developments, we have nurseries that help grow these plants. So it actually started off as a pandemic baby. People saw some of our plants, they wanted to buy the plants that we were using to decorate the area. And so we realized we can grow these and then we can integrate them into our properties. But not just that, we can also we can find out really what's best for the area. Because we're so... Many of our projects are scattered across the Philippines. So we really have to cater specifically to the native plants of a local area.
Yeah, what's the word for it? Endemic? Is that right? Whatever is endemic to that region
We
or
say
area.
native because
Native, yeah.
the difference between endemic and native are endemic is it's only found in that specific area, which is wonderful, and we want to grow more of those. But natives are that they were found there locally, but then they're also found in other areas. So they're easy to transport between the two, and we can find themes between them.
But definitely mula sa Pilipinas.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Wonderful. Next, 15-minute cities. Let's go to the idea of cities now. 15 minutes, living, working, everything, functioning, lifestyling. Describe or expound more, please, on 15-minute cities of SMDC.
I mean, most of the students here have an idea of what 15-minute cities are. It's not a new concept, but it's something that we really want to integrate into our integrated properties. So when we say integrated properties, we generally start off with something like a base, like a mall, and then we grow from there because we realize that people who live in an area need specific things. So they need commercial areas, they need to access banking, hospitals, schools, and so that's what an integrated city is. Our development for a 15-minute city, so this is an example of South Mall, which is Muntinlupa beside. So we have some residential developments attached to the malls.
And again, literally anywhere at any point, it'll only take 15 minutes.
Yes, and we want to encourage walking. So we actually consider not 15 minutes from cycling and taking public transportation and cars, but actually when we study it ourselves, it's 15-minute walk, depending obviously on how fast you're walking. I'm a fast walker, so 15 minutes might be like a 1.5 kilometer stretch for me.
But definitely something you can do literally with your 2 feet,
Yes.
with your legs.
Yeah.
You want to lessen mobility or driving or vehicles?
We do.
I mean,
We
we've
do.
been talking about mobility, electric vehicles earlier today. But at the end of the day, what do you have? Everybody has, really.
Tama. And I
And it's
mean,
good for your health.
Yes, absolutely. And it's good for traffic. Like, even coming here today, we were talking about the traffic situation here in Manila, which is a great sign for growth, that was mentioned earlier. But it's also just a hassle for people. It creates stress on the body that we want to try to alleviate from our residents and our customer and community basis.
Me naman, it's a waste of time sitting just in your car. For me, it's that. You can't get that back. The time spent in your car. Just to wrap it up, we're going to have more of Jika later on during our panel discussion. But Jika, what are you allowed to share with us key innovations that you look forward to implementing or introducing in SMDC projects? What are you allowed to share for
I
now?
might get in trouble for this. Is this recorded? Oh, thanks, Philip. Thanks for the reminder. No, we're actually super excited for this next year. Yes. So in most of our malls, we've actually integrated solar panels now. So that's one thing that we're really excited for. We're also goaling for net zero by 2040. Okay. But internally, we want to reach that beforehand, and that's through partnerships and just being able to manage our usage as well.
Partnerships with...
So we have partnerships with different suppliers who are committed to also reach net zero. And so we prioritize those type of suppliers. We also have partnerships with electricity suppliers. So we want to focus on green energy. And then on the residential side, it's super exciting. This one we haven't announced yet, so I'm sorry, I won't look at my team. We are actually integrating and standardizing solar panels into our residential communities as well. So
residential, so it's not just malls.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it's more expensive for us, but we realize that it's something that we really want to be proud of and help our residents without an extra cost to them. We want to be able to allow them to access and be a part of a green solution and make it easy for them, Din.
Nice. But actually, I want to touch on that before I let you go. It is not an extra cost for the people already living in your properties, but it also helps with your operations.
Absolutely, yes. So we manage most of our properties. And so we find that it's a cost saver. So it's an initial higher capital expense. But in the long run, we actually believe that it'll reduce our operational expense, especially for electricity costs, by about 30 to 40%, which we're willing to wait out because we are playing the long game here.
There you go. It takes time to put in sustainability practices, but the point is, every employer developer believes it will benefit not just them but everyone in the long run. So trust that your real estate industry leaders are really walking the talk when it comes to that. And we're just starting things out. A round of applause for Jika C, please. Thank you, Jika. I'll see you later for the panel discussion. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very, very much. From one very, very talented and true leader, lady leader at that, to another. Allow me now to introduce our next company brand partner, one of the recognized names in real estate industry as well, truly committed to transforming every property into high-quality developments. They create superior value for customers and their shareholders. Each of their projects carry the reputation of having the highest standards of quality and services. To share more about their company's sustainable projects, we now have the Vice President and Business Development and Design Head for Robinson's Land Corporation. A round of applause for Ms. Stephanie Ann Go. Lady students, I really hope you're inspired, ha? Ibang klase ang lineup nating ng speakers this afternoon. The ladies are taking over. The young ladies are taking over. I hope that's not lost on you. Hi, Steph.
Hello, Isa.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to everyone, all the students.
To our Tomasians, no? There you go. So, Steph, if I started off with GICO with smart and sustainability cities, you naman for RLC is integrating sustainability in residential developments as part of future urban living. You want to design that first? Again, you yourself are playing the long-term game, RLC.
So, specifically, I had the business development and design for RLC Residences. So, you know, in the news, and you don't have to go far. Whatever we've experienced recently in terms of Typhoon Karina, you know that there is something happening in the environment. I read that the global report of NOAA tracked that on the this has been, or August 2024 has been the 15th month consecutively that the average global surface temperature is increasing month on month.
Yeah.
And that's alarming. Report would say that the direct impact of that is really extreme rainfalls. So there you go.
And of course, it affects everyone.
Everybody. And when we talk about sustainability and resilience, we have to define it specifically. What is sustainability? What is resilience? Sustainability defined to be able to function or do important functions without change in quality over time, whereas resilience is being able to thrive despite of change. So it's very different in the sense that with everything that we've been experiencing recently, it's very important to design residential communities with resilient design in mind.
And you really cannot do it the old way.
Exactly.
Hindi pwedeng basta ganito.
Yes.
Or ito yung mga success formulas dati.
So
Hindi
it
na ngayon
really
ganon.
is changing the way we think, the way we do things, with the way we design things. And it's good that we have architectural students here and engineers because you will be the one to be able to do that change in mindset in the future. And I believe that as what Jessica mentioned earlier, it's really the responsibility of everyone, not just the government, but also the private sector, to really enable that change. We are responsible because experts would say that it's too late, we can't reverse the impact of global warming, but at the same time, we can do a little bit to slow down that impact. So I feel that's why RLC Residences is doing what we are doing now. Some would say it's too late.
No,
but we have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. And in your particular lead, it is finding the sustainability aspect of residences. So
Residential
key challenges so far that you've been
Well, it's as simple
addressing.
as, flooding, earthquake, water supply, right?
Energy consumption.
Energy consumption. So all of those things are very crucial to a residential development or a residential community. So all of those things, we really do have to think and rethink as we launch our new projects in the future.
And what are the proud moments that you've rethought and see for yourselves that it worked? Because people are gravitating towards your properties.
And you know what I realized when Jessica was talking earlier, we are competitors outside this room. You would never see us sit together outside this room. But at the end of the day, when we talk about the environment, we are aligned.
And sustainability. It's a win-win situation. And it's not just Jessica. Ayala Land is coming here later. Okay?
Another
just
one.
so you all know that when it comes to sustainability efforts, it is a win-win-win situation for everyone. Okay? So you're saying they're addressing challenges.
Okay, so when it's about the challenge of implementing sustainability, I would like to think that there are 3 layers to it. Okay, so the first layer is really on a corporate level, or to some extent, in my case, conglomerate level. Because at the end of the day, somebody has to start doing this.
Yeah, decision making.
Yes,
Decision making.
and if not, it would be definitely harder to make that change bottoms up, right? So that's the first layer. The second layer is really on a business perspective. At the end of the day, we're all running businesses here, right?
Profitability and sustainability.
So that was the topic earlier.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that all of these things that we're changing makes business sense? Because as mentioned, I that's my job. I need to make business sense in all the decisions and the changes in design that we're doing. So that's the second layer. And the third layer is just as important. The buyers, the consumers, they need to understand, they need to appreciate it, because let's just say it does increase the price. They need to appreciate why they're buying something, quote unquote, more expensive, and how it contributes in the long run. So without those 3 layers addressed, it's going to be hard, right? So luckily with me, at least in my experience with RLC Residences, the first layer has been solved, because it's really from our president and our CEO, Mr. Lance Gokongwei, who said, no, sustainability is a strategy and a mindset that I'm implementing across the Gokongwei group. So it's easier for us now. On a second layer, again, it's easier now because we just have to make sense the numbers. We just need to make sure that whatever design changes we're doing really does impact the buyers. Because ultimately, doing changes, design changes, implementing something that doesn't make sense to the buyers, they won't buy it, right? So it's easier now for us because the change in mindset, the strategy, the direction is really coming from the top level.
And that's again why the buyers do come as well. But last, I want to put a 4th layer to that. There are certifications. These are like
Yes.
talagang the badges, the stamps of approval that the morning session we're always talking about. And it was also highlighted by Ms. Lobian earlier. These are like EDGE certification or green building standards. But to you, what does that mean? And how is it actually part of you walking the talk?
So there are a lot of green certification programs. So I'm sure everybody here knows about it. There's LEED because it's the most widely used globally. There's Verde because it's definitely developed in the Philippines by the Filipinos. So it's more relevant to the local setting. There's EDGE developed by the IFC. So it's backed up by one of the biggest financing institutions in the world. But ultimately, it's all about what your company, or personally, I guess, what your goals are, what your objectives are. It's about finding the right fit. And specifically for RLC Residences, when we did the exercise, we reviewed multiple green building certifications, and we said, okay, EDGE is something that works for us. Why? Because it's easier and it's more practical to communicate to everyone. EDGE
Keyword
is actually
savings, oh. Savings,
yes.
savings.
So at the end of the certification, what it gives you is actually a percentage of savings in water, electricity, and embodied energy of your supplies, the way you develop your structures.
And that's a winning, again, term for any buyer.
Yes.
For anybody living
so
there.
it's easier to translate into something that everyone could understand. And when you talk about sustainability, at the end of the day, it's all about this. So for us, that's what we said. Okay, then this works for us. And, we want to make sure that we walk the talk. It's not just a marketing tactic. It's not something we do now, and then when it doesn't work for the business anymore, we stop doing it. We are here for the long game. So, okay, let's measure our efficiency. So because we know that we're just starting to redesign our projects to be more sustainable, we know we're not yet the experts. So internally, it's our way of, measuring ourselves. Are we improving? Over the course of time, if we're increasing our savings in terms of all these consumption, then we know that we are going the right track, right?
Are you? I'm going to put you in the spot. Are you?
Okay, so just to be clear, we just started this 2023. So
okay.
the
Baby, last year lang.
so the first two projects that we certified were LuPont in Bridgetown and RLC Residences in Mandaue. So those are the first two projects that earned its EDGE certification. But we had a commitment to go net zero carbon by 2032. And we know, baby steps, we will get there. But for now, you'll see that for Mandaue, for example, what we got was a score of 28% in savings for electricity.
Yeah,
and
hey, that's still not bad, guys. Give that a round of applause. For 1
water.
year? That's in a year's time?
And it's our first design, so we know that we are on the right track because on our quote-unquote first attempt, we got our certification. So gave us a boost of confidence.
I mean, even from this morning, don't expect 190% in 1 year. Of course not.
Of course.
Diba? The long term really is, that's why it's not overnight.
Improving, continuously improving.
So it's a step towards the right direction.
Yeah, so that's our internal North Star. And of course, to our buyers, it's actually translating to more tangible benefits. Because if you can save 28% on your bill, and 36% on your bill, why not, right? And in terms of something that Jessica also mentioned is building operations. That's something that everyone, even the buyers, are also impacted because of the condo dues. So if we are able to reduce costs in maintaining a project like this, it also directly impacts our homeowners. We actually had a study that in one of our more recent projects in Sierra Valley, all our sustainable efforts will actually lead to 1 peso per square meter savings in their condo dues.
1 peso per
Yes.
square meter. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, ayan na. Talagang nag-ano na yung mga rate. Wait, speaking of Sierra Valley Gardens, this is one of it's actually your most advanced sustainability project. You have a number, but this is the most recent, and you want to tell us why you're most proud of it when it comes to sustainability practices?
So, of course, it was definitely designed at the very beginning to be more sustainable. So in terms of open spaces, hydroponics, of course. So we partnered with FarmTop to be able to provide a hydroponics farm within the development. So we already started it, even if the project is not yet turned over. So we already have 450 square meters of space dedicated for this. And then once the buildings are done, we have almost 345 square meters per tower on top to be able to produce and use as hydroponics farm also.
And the residents get to buy or
So yes, the agreement is it's something that allows them to get fresh organic produce, and at the same time it lessens really the
Hindi na
the
sila
electricity
mamamalengke.
of traveling and buying somewhere, right?
Ang
So
ganda.
instant benefit to our homeowners or future homeowners. Something also that we have solar panels,
Yeah.
very similar to SMDC. So
but
again,
this one's on residential.
yes, this
On
one is for the residents, but basically more for the use of the common areas. Because again, how much light or electricity is it to really
Power the whole thing, yeah.
this whole development, right? So solar panels definitely will impact in terms of management of the building or the whole development.
Nice. Steph, just like with Gika, what are you allowed? Just to wrap it up. Parang, ang sensitive na question ko di ba? Kasi yun nga, these are corporate leaders we have here today. Baka mamaya hindi pa pwede i-announce sa public. I have to remind them, what are you allowed to share with us? Future projects, expanding your sustainability efforts. Baka yung team mo rin sabihin.
Oo nga hindi. I think innovations definitely are limitless. Same with how smart homes and the Internet of Things was a few years back then. So
Yeah.
definitely innovations limitless. But at least what I can say now is that very similar, we do have rainwater catchment for our project so that we recycle water for common areas. We have something that we've done recently is registered with GEOP. So Green Energy Option Program by the Department of Energy. So we applied our buildings so that we can use renewable energy sources for our developments. So we started with 6 projects first, and then hopefully eventually we grow into more projects. But that really ensures that we're using renewable energy.
But again, see how collaboration is part of the process of any brand or company's growth.
Yes.
Right?
And it's really little things that you design. Bigger windows for better circulation,
Yeah,
insulation.
architecture.
Yes.
Have fun.
So,
you never know what
yeah.
you can come up with also, because the 5 years from now is going to be very different from the way someone like Steph and Gika are operating on. They're all looking forward to what ideas you
Yes,
will
you can-
bring up.
So yeah, they said that if tech was the job of the last decade, sustainability is actually the job of the future decade.
There you go. We're going to end with that. So, Steph, thank you so much again. Stephanie Go, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having us. All right, thank you for that. But before I announce or introduce our next speaker, again, I want to remind everybody here, because we do have a fresh batch of students, please take the time. You want to know more about what their companies have to offer? They have booths downstairs. So please visit their booths, get a stamp from their booths, and then approach there you go. You have ladies, can you give us a wave? Come back upstairs here and show your completed stamps from our function area. Wait, ladies, wave again. And they will give you sweet treats from Manila Bulletin. But you have to have 6 stamps completed by visiting all the booths downstairs. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, can I also announce, I believe it's time for me to announce, the first 5 winners of Watson's gift packs. But you cannot claim it till after the program. Just note that you're a winner, okay? Congratulations to Angelo Basco, Munif Pakalna. Munif Pakalna, did I say that right? Munif Pakalna. Munif Pakalna. John Allen Aguas, Neil Drex M. Tan, and Christian Bugaring. Congratulations, you win Watson's gift packs. Angela Basco, Munif Pakalna, John Allen Aguas, Neil Drex M. Tan, and Christian Bugaring. Claim your prizes right over there at the end of the program. All right? Our next guest this afternoon, listen up. It will not be an interview. She's going to take on the podium. The Manila Bulletin also emphasizes the importance of the participation of our local government units. So it's not just of our partner companies who are very privileged to have with us this afternoon, but also we are here to also be in partnership with our LGUs because they too raise awareness and promote initiatives on sustainability. So today, I hope you're excited to find out the sustainability efforts made during the Pasig River urban development. Palakpakan naman dyan. Binuhay nila uli ang Pasig River. So please welcome landscape architect and environmental planner for the Pasig River urban development, Ms. Marion Comboy. Hi, Marion. Everybody, let's listen up to Ms. Marion Comboy.
Thank you very much. All right. To Reverend Father Louis Coronel, UST Secretary General, esteemed guests, of course, Mr. Philip Ku Unjing, the project head of Manila Bulletin Sustainability, other executives of Manila Bulletin, faculty of UST, our students, participants from UST, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. So first off, I'm truly honored to be here on behalf of the Honorable Secretary Jose Rizalino Acuzar of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. I have also here with me the team of the Pasig Technical, the lead architect, Architect Carlo De Castro, as well as Architect Martin Yambao. He's actually a Tomasian graduate. All right. So we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude for the platform to share with you the future planners of the Philippines about the Pasig River urban development. And our tagline for this is the Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli. So the Philippines Pasig River, it is a 25-kilometer stretch bisecting the Metro Manila. It has and always been a central spine as it holds immense historical and cultural significance as a vital waterway which facilitates trade and transportation. And before expressways and vehicles, all of the goods and passengers were brought by ferries or boats, except, of course, for the trains. So there's a long history of industrial and urban uses which the Pasig River has subjected and has left almost irreversible effects. And rivers are, well, suppliers of water, agents of commerce, but ultimately unfortunate receptors of and conduits of wastes. So why do we need to clean the Pasig River? So in recent years, you may have seen this news. There was a study telling that the Philippines has contributed to about 36% of the plastic waste that end up in the world's oceans. So with the Pasig River identified as the top plastic pollution source. It was actually declared biologically dead in the 1990s. So as you can see, the Pasig River generates about 63,000 tons of plastic waste per year. So imagine that. And the importance here is we use Pasig River for major trade tourism routes connecting Manila Bay and Laguna Lake. So it transects 5 cities, the Manila, Makati, Mandaluyong, Pasig, Taguig, and Taytay Rizal. So there is about 47 tributaries, and the challenge is there's severe pollution due to urbanization and industrialization. And of course, the settlements along the Pasig River in Manila Bay area, and there's also a settlement of the ISFs at the Laguna de Bay. So they are close to the ecosystem of the Pasig River and continue to face threats, the water degradation and the waste generation that the Pasig River has. And of course, there's an urgent need to rehabilitate and enhance the quality of life along the banks of Pasig River, its tributaries, and surrounding communities. So what are the strategy that we have to come up towards sustainable Pasig River cleanup and urban development? So this is a timeline of the Pasig River rehabilitation efforts. There are restoration efforts And as you can see, we have government sectors and as well as private sectors that have led rehabilitation efforts. And just last year, the President signed the Executive Order number 35, July 25, 2003, that constitutes the Interagency Council for the Pasig River Urban Development with 15 member agencies. So monthly, they are convened to talk about and discuss how the Pasig River Urban Development will have sustainable efforts and develop the infrastructure. So it is actually spearheaded by the Office of the First Lady. And by mandate, the Interagency Council was tasked to synchronize and strengthen their efforts to accelerate the implementation of policies, programs, projects that aim to improve the water quality, restore the marine life, and develop the banks of the Pasig River, and of course, the surrounding communities. So since Pasig River is a free nautical highway, it is actually unimpeded. So the idea is to have basically a cycling and pedestrian pathway that connects all the different cities. So the vision is to have connectivity, commercial viability. So there are pockets of economic development that boosts the tourism, local community, and generate new employment. So there is overall productivity along the Pasig River. So, and of course, the community building. Here we have to foster collective sense of responsibility for the environmental protection, cultivating a shared commitment to the well-being and sustainable development of the project. So it's important to reconnect because Pasig offers, of course, more efficient transportation if you have visited or have tried the ferry stations. And part of the strategy is to adapt and update the PRISM, or the Pasig River Integrated Strategic Master Plan. It was actually crafted by the UP Planades together with the PRCMO, the then PRRC of the DNR. So this is actually a 15-year master plan, and there are planning imperatives. So this plan has the key issues and pressures on the Pasig River system indicated, of course, the restoration framework, strategies, and potentials. So I'll share with you the strategies. Key strategy one is the sustainable catchment development. It was actually mentioned earlier by Ms. Sheila, the catchment. So here you can consider the watershed management, the ridge to reef, so from the ridges up to the reef systems. And the goal is actually to improve, of course, the landscape connectivity and reduce the solid waste. So there are key projects for the green infrastructure management, sustainable community facilities, of course, for the informal settlers communities along the river. Next is we have the riparian and floodplain rehabilitation. So with this one, we tap the MMDA with regards to the easement recovery program. We have to reclaim the easement so it is not obstructed, and to manage the vegetation. And of course, there has to be urban renewal of the floodplain settlements. Third is the stream flow management. So the objective here is the flood control and stormwater management. Actually, DNR has initiatives like the Pasig River Warriors by the DNR Pasig River Coordination and Management Office. And let us note that there are actually about 7,700 discharge points identified to be located in the Pasig River alone. So there are outflows of gray waters directly to the Pasig River. And with this, as a result, parts of the metro region are badly affected by flooding, storms, which the projections suggest could likely increase in intensity under the changing climate. And lastly, we have the water quality remediation and protection. So the objective here is to conserve and manage Pasig River freshwater resources. And there are actually monthly water quality monitoring, integrated wastewater management. And through partnerships with the activities and engagements, first we have the Interagency Council with the Clean Rivers Organization and the Embassy of UAE. We have also local and international private sectors collaborating, and we have convergence. So this is one of the thrust of the projects, because we need different sectors to help regulate, promote the environmental and sustainability practices. So recently, we also have the ISOCARP 49 Congress, Technical River Tour for the different planners around the globe. As for the planning and design, we have also consulted design firms, private firms like Architect William of the WTA and landscape architect Paulo Alcazaran in terms of the master plan of the whole stretch of Pasig River. And as I've mentioned earlier, the First Lady is actually spearheading the Interagency Council. So recently, just last week, they held a meeting for the TWG of this Interagency Council just to make sure that the development of the project is going its full direction. And now I'm showing you the Pasig River segmentation. So we have 9 segments, and currently we're at the Manila's old downtown in the segment 2. So may I ask if any of you have visited the project? Yes? All right, so the showcase area, or the Manila's old downtown. So this esplanade is actually the first showcase section. We call this now as the west section of the 25-kilometer Pasig River Esplanade. So Secretary Acuzar wanted to make a point that the esplanade could be built, and there are efforts that could make this rehabilitation happen. And it shows you the proof of concept, and that we wanted to spark interest and ownership for the Pasig River, as we Filipinos are all stakeholders of this waterway. So this is the West Showcase area at the back of the Manila Post Office. So the idea is to have unimpeded pathways, bikeways, so that by after the project was finished, you can travel. Imagine in 30 minutes from Manila to Makati, you can bike. So there is accessibility, the connectivity. Showing you more photos of the project. And then here we have under bridge passage or transition area for every bridges along the Pasig River, just so that you don't have to go up the bridge and you won't be obstructed along the way. And this one is the latest inaugurated phase of the showcase area. It has a view deck, and the ground area is actually a commercial space. And currently, we have this PBBM pop-up fair that you can go to with your friends, classmates. You can have some coffee or merienda while enjoying the scene, the sunset. So let's imagine a vibrant Pasig River, once again, flowing with life and vitality, where communities thrive alongside a clean, sustainable waterway. So I hope we all support this, and please join us as we explore more innovative rehabilitation efforts that not only restore the river's health, but also inspire the sustainable future for the generations to come. And with that, let me end with my opening tagline, Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much again, Miss Marion. We hear the pride in your voice, and it's very much well-deserved. Here's to making sure our rivers stay alive. Not only do we revive them, but they will stay alive for the future generations. Now let's get straight to the last company, the last brand partner that we have for the day. And he is the gentleman of this batch, for the afternoon batch, a very dashing gentleman as well. So ladies and gentlemen, this company is one of the largest property developers in the Philippines, creating master plan communities that promote sustainable development and provide long-term value to the residents, investors, and stakeholders. By developing integrated master planned and sustainable mixed-use communities in vibrant growth centers all over the Philippines, this company strives to continually elevate the quality of life for all of their customers. Let's now have a chat with the head of brand experience and brand strategy for residential estates and corporate group of Ayala Land, Inc. We got Mr. Hans Lopez Vito. Hey, Hans. I was saying today we have the giants in their industry. Earlier on, we had SMDC, SM Prime, we had RLC, and we got Ayala Land. And when it comes to sustainability efforts, it is a win-win-win situation for everybody. Agreed? Oh, sorry, let's check with that mic. Yes.
Definitely, I agree with you. We're not competitors here in this room, like what you said. We're all here working together. The more of us who do this, the better it is for the Philippines and for the world, really. And having said that, Isa, I just want to say that even though I'm the only male this afternoon, in many ways I'm an honorary woman because I have 5 sisters. I'm the only son. So I'm one of you.
There you go. Hey, that's embracing talagang championing, di ba? The female leadership. You gotta love that as well. So Hans, okay, let's talk business. How does Ayala Land integrate sustainability in your, not just projects, I don't want to talk projects yet, but in your business model, how you actually run the business?
Well, I think that's a very important question. First, maybe we need to begin with the facts. The fact is that there are impacts to the work that we do as property developers. Specifically, when we're starting with land assessment and acquisition, there's an impact. There's emissions from the change of land use, all the way to master planning and design, to construction and delivery, and operating the property. There are emissions that come from the change in land use, from value chain emissions, all the way to emissions that come from just the daily operations of a property. So this is really where property companies like ourselves and our friends here really have the imperative to mitigate the emissions across these 4 areas of impacts.
From acquiring land, because so far we've been talking about project development and operational expenses. But yes, it starts with, we got the land, what are we gonna do with it?
Right, absolutely, because you're using the land in different ways than the way it was intended. It needs to be something that people will need to live on. Having said that, we have a very holistic view of sustainability. Clearly, climate and environment is one aspect of it, but it's not the only aspect. At Ayala Land, we have 4 focus areas when it comes to sustainability. The first one is what we call site resilience. The reality is today that the environment is different now. So what we need to do really as a property developer is to make sure that we are able to strengthen the site itself, to make it livable despite the realities of climate change. It's raining all the time. It's also quite hot. What we need to make sure is that there are enough green areas to be able to absorb, for example, floodwaters. We talked about vegetation and flora and fauna. Indeed, endemic and local species are really important because it helps maintain biodiversity.
Road going there, getting there.
Accessibility is important.
Andun pa. Okay,
Pedestrian
sorry.
mobility and connectivity. Who has heard about One Ayala here? Have you used it? It's important that people are able to get around. We talk about 15-minute cities for sure. Is it easy for people to be able to walk in it? So that's a critical area of sustainability for us. And of course, local economic development. Are we able to give jobs to people who live in that community? Do we have enough spaces for social enterprise? And last but definitely not the least, is resource efficiency. Are we able to use resources in a way that's really efficient and get us to net zero?
So again, 4 prongs. How about specific steps to integrate now those 4 into your...
Well, many ways. Certainly the use of energy, use of sustainable energy. On the next slide, I think, Jeanette. Renewable energy use, for example, right now, 111 commercial properties of ours are using sustainable energy already. That's 90% of our total portfolio.
Yeah. You have in your malls.
We're using EVs now. MDC, which is our construction arm, the Makati Development Corporation, has acquired a whole fleet of electronic vehicles from BYD is what it's called in China, where I used to live. That's really important for us. We're decarbonizing the supply chain, and of course, carbon forests. Right now, it's important that carbon forests are not just there, but they are also really taken care of properly. We have 784, almost 800 hectares now of carbon forests across the Philippines, all the way to the materials that we use: low carbon concrete, green steel bars, glass fiber, reinforced polymers. Those are all really key, and they help us get to net zero, which is the slide before that.
There you go.
Our promise or our commitment to ourselves is to get to net zero by 2050. Why 2050? It's a long time. First, we need to understand that there's what we call scope 1 and 2 emissions. These are emissions that we ourselves can control. The kinds of fuel that we use, how much energy we use, the kinds of hollow blocks and cement that we use, that we can control. But there's scope 3, also scope 3 emissions that come from our suppliers, our tenants, our customers, that we ourselves have no direct control over, but we're able to influence a little bit more and more over time. Our commitment is to get to net zero from scope 1 all the way to scope 3 by 2050.
But hey, thanks, Hans. That's now the bigger picture, because so far we've been talking about just the companies, how the company actually controls things, how they run things. But there is a bigger picture, and that includes people na they're your buyers, they're the one living already, they're your consumers, customers. And thank you for that part that we have to wake up to as well. There are things we cannot control, but hopefully influence.
To show also, Isa, that each of every one of us has a role to play when it comes to climate control, climate change, for sure.
How do you measure success then? And of course, this one takes time.
It does take time. Measurement is important. I think what measurement really does is it makes it really transparent. And it reveals to the world and to our auditors how much have we really accomplished. So every year...
Especially your stakeholders.
Especially our stakeholders. And this is important because every year what we do is we measure our own emissions, all our work in terms of how we impact society and the economy and communities. We're measuring it based on standards that are quite aligned globally among different measurement agencies. And more importantly, they're audited not just internally but externally as well. And what's critical is we put it out there for people to see so they can track change, because that's how we keep ourselves honest, I think. So measurement is, in many ways, we always know if it can't be measured, it can't be accomplished.
Yeah.
So the more you measure and the more that's transparent, internally audited and externally audited as well, the better for society. So
and that's a benchmark for true success, right? It's going to be across the board. How about challenges then? Of course, this isn't easy. It's easier said than done.
Challenges, many.
Okay, thank you. There you go.
Well, there's definitely, first and foremost, there's investment and cost when we do this. I was just in a conversation around how we develop some estates and, subdivisions when we're developing these communities.
And of course, it's more than just ideas and design.
It's definitely more than ideas and design. One way is, for example, it's a hilly terrain. You can make it more efficient and cheaper to build if you just make it flat. Cut, make it flat. But that's not good for the environment, as opposed to just keeping the real terrain, the real great gradations, and keeping local trees. And
that's one of your pillars earlier, the site resilience.
Right, site resilience, yeah. So that has cost. Second, many of these things that we do, us, our competitors, our friends do, our consumers often don't see that. Because what you see is the building, what you don't see is the things that go behind it to make it more sustainable. And that's probably a challenge. How do we tell people and tell that story And lastly, really, availability of materials is also
Lalo na it's in a particular area. Let's not forget, are we going to have to bring everything there? That's more cost.
right. And when we're talking about, let's say, more sustainable construction material, it's really more of a burgeoning industry right now. It's not yet at a level that's very mature that everybody's going for because there's government regulation that encourages everybody to do exactly that. So sometimes availability of these materials is also a big challenge for us.
But that is also the nice part about it. If not necessarily a challenge, it's always opportunity. Because there's still a lot of room for growth, a lot of room to explore. And that's why when it comes to sustainability, what do you feel people still do not get? What are still the misconceptions other than pangmayaman lang yan? We were debunking that earlier this morning. Hindi lang pangmayaman ang sustainability.
No, I think it's for everybody now. By the way, maybe there are three big misconceptions about sustainability. The first one is sustainability and corporate social responsibility are the same thing.
No, it's not.
They're different. Corporate social responsibility includes the things that you do to mitigate impacts on not just the environment, but also on society in general.
Hindi siya donation.
Hindi siya donation. So therefore, sustainability is also not just about the environment, it's about other things. The environment is a very important piece, but there are other elements to it as well. The community, access points, site resiliency, accessibility. And lastly, sustainability is the responsibility of the Ayalas and the SMDCs and RLCs of this world. It's not. All of us have a role to play. In the future, many of you here, young students, will be buying property. Look for the property developers that are accountable.
Not just buying. These are architecture students. They're your future employees.
Yes,
Diba? Mga future employees. Yung mga kausap natin. Diba? So it is. Everybody has a role to play. Punta kayo ng booth. May mga booth sila para maka-apply din kayo. Okay? Kuha kayo ng mga flyer. Diba? So again, next, across industry, Hans, how do you view, because like you said, everybody, all the big giants are here today, the rise in sustainability awareness and practices. How is it, do you think this is a trend, the bandwagon, across industries? It's not just in real estate. We had power earlier this morning as well. And let's face it, even finance, everywhere, manufacturing, retail.
This is no longer a trend. Maybe a few years ago, people would think it would be a trend, but it's not. We feel it now. There was a survey just released a couple of weeks ago from UNICEF, where they surveyed young people in the Philippines, quite a big sample size, and they essentially said that there are top two concerns among Filipino youth today. Number one is environment and sustainability. Second one is quality of education. Quite relevant considering the place we're at. Having said that, sustainability is not a buzzword at Ayala. Before it became kind of cool, Ayala's been doing quite a bit in sustainability already. From as early as 2007, many things were already being done. It's been embedded in everything that we did as a company. It does.
And it really helps if it's top down, no? The leaders say, yes, we're doing this.
Absolutely. For us, the sustainability team is not just a small team that is tucked in one corner of our head office. It reports directly to our president and CEO, Mian D, and it also has it answers to a board level committee that focuses on sustainability. So you don't see a lot of boards that have a sustainability committee, but at Ayala Land, that sustainability team answers to the board.
Before I let you go, or before we get the other speakers in, what about not just top level, now really who you're catering to, consumers, customers, the owners of your properties? Do they understand? Do they appreciate what you're putting out there when it comes to
Increasingly,
sustainability?
yes.
Increasingly,
yes. I think we saw something earlier that talked about how rents can be higher, for sure, but we need to educate more people about it. I was having a long chat with Philip over some cocktails a few weeks ago. The challenge with sustainability is a lot of the truth of the things that we do is very technical. I'm a marketing person, and the challenge really is how do we make sure that we appeal to people, not just on a rational, intellectual level, but also on an emotional level, because that's how it moves people, it's emotions. So how do we sandwich our technical stories in very emotional stories? So it matters more and more to people. and it changes behavior. So it's a work in progress, and we need to keep working at that.
All right, I'm going to bring in the other speakers first because I want to actually share something that happened this morning. But on that note, Hans, please stay where you are. We're just going to add more chairs as it is now time for the Q&A or the panel discussion where I invite all of our speakers who joined us this afternoon. So may I invite Ms. Can we put the chairs already? As I invite back Jika C., Sheila Lobien, Marion Comboy, including architect Carlo De Castro, who is with Marion or earlier. And then we have two of UST's very own, architect Ruth Marie Equipaje from the College of Architecture, and Assistant Professor Rajiv Eldon E. Abdullah, Management Engineering from the Faculty of Engineering. Did I say that right, Meng? Management Engineering? Yeah, Meng. Okay, sorry. Communications book. Hindi ko to course. Sorry. All right. There you go. Hans, please take a seat. Mr. Philip Kunhing will also be joining us for the Q&A. Please, there are microphones on the floor. Students, this is the time to actually ask some questions and let's get a discussion going. Again, our speakers joining us, we have Hans from Ayala Land, Jika C from SMDC or SM Prime, Marion Comboy and architect Carlo De Castro, who was talking about the Pasig River Initiative, and Ms. Sheila Lobien, our keynote speaker this afternoon, with two of your professors. I want to start with our UST professors and friends. What's your take from this afternoon's speakers, and anything you want to comment on or ask for them to expound on?
Okay, ladies first. Okay, so I was earlier here, and we had a very interesting conversation this morning as well. And I think the sustainability is something embedded in here in USC of Architecture. Our dean is here and our college secretary. We actually have a course, Urban Regional Planning, wherein we talk a lot about sustainability. I'm one of the professors. We also have urban design, so we talk about branding. So sustainability, I guess, is also a good brand to cater to what is lifestyle now, a sustainable lifestyle, as well as in design. So let me also pitch in on that because I believe as an urban planner, it's very important that we start with the site because there's a lot of issues regarding conversion, of course, of food sustainability and food security, and also resiliency, as you said, when it comes to flooding and making sure it's safe. But at the same time, we would like to put our real estate where there's market and there's profit. So let me also loop in the Pasig River. As some of my colleagues know that I'm a consultant of MMDA on flood mitigation. And I like that you really are very much proactive, particularly in enhancing our river redevelopment because it adds on to the whole environmental sustainability, especially of how we cater to our open spaces. So yeah, so I guess I'm very happy with that. So one of the questions that I would like to pitch in is on circular economy. Because we are very much, talking about energy consumption, net zero. But
graduate na kasi sa recycling and all that.
Yes.
Circular na ngayon. Circular na.
Yeah, because I'm on the road to zero waste with MMDA, and we are really wanting to know what are the plans, particularly on solid waste management.
Who would like to take the first answer? Who would like to answer first? On solid waste management, it's a question.
Circular economy. Okay, Jika?
First, that's a very big question. It's super important for us to address it. And at SM, we really believe that the circular economy is very important to us because since we are integrated into so many different types of businesses, from production all the way to lifestyle, residential, and malls, we find that having those avenues to collect and make sure that people have that we have the waste management accessible to people really is the first step and actually the most important step. So when we look at the circular economy, the first thing that we want to address is we have to make it easy for people to access this. So whether that's within our residences or our commercial developments, we want to make sure that it's for them to be able to recycle or to have composting areas or to dispose of waste properly. It's very easy for them. We actually have flyers around the place and posters so that people can see where the waste should be going. And then from there, we then partner with different organizations and bodies to either dispose of the waste or figure out how we can reuse it properly.
Hans, were you wanting? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I happen to live in an Ayala property, and some of it is not really scientific, but very practical, which is sorting your waste. It's really encouraged. There are signs on, where we throw our trash that, okay, from certain time to certain times, you cannot put anything there. It needs to be only food waste. Then only from certain times to another time, that's only when you can put in the recyclables. Then in between those periods, they actually lock the door. At least in my building in Makati. So kudos to Ayala Property Management for doing that. But I think it's those little behavioral nudges that change the equation really and changes behavior. It's not just message, but those little nudges in rules and regulations that help it as well.
And I think, Jika, also, I know I covered on behalf of your uncle, Hans C. There was a conversion of trash with gun, Japanese technology of some kind. So I think that's also part of how they're trying to move the conversation forward in terms of how solid waste can be handled. No?
Absolutely, it's just building on that. It's not a one solution to anything. So we really try to integrate different types of solutions to hopefully create a larger picture of what waste management could look like.
Siyempre, kalaban yon when it comes to Pasig River. Wait, let's not go there, diba? So again, at least our real estate companies here are there. Professor Rajiv, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, actually, I was about to ask the same question about solid waste management, but I think the panel has answered that quite sufficiently already. So let me go to another part of probably R&D, research and development. Last week, I was touring the Pasig River stations, actually almost fell to the Pasig River. But my question would be, are we incentivizing companies that bring in green technologies? Because we all know it's very hard to put up green, sustainable technologies and introduce it into the construction sector, construction industry. So how are we incentivizing that and making sure that, yes, there are additional costs, maybe, but at the long term, are we giving more, I would probably say more than the technical and the financial bid, are we also evaluating these bids based on sustainability?
I think it's going to be our keynote speaker and our... go ahead.
Well, in real estate, sustainability, as mentioned, is very simple. So it's a balancing act between the economic viability of the project and, of course, the people living in there, they should enjoy the place. And we're talking about sustainability, this green thing. You mentioned about incentives. I don't see a lot of incentives lately. We want to, ask the government support on that as well. There are a lot of developers out there. They're doing green projects because big corporations who are using the space, like the office in the office market, it's part of their ESG. Globally, they should be compliant. So when they enter the Philippines or when they expand here, they need to be in a green building or a building that has a certification. It's part of the big compliant that they have to follow. So these developers are encouraged to do more and more of these types of building because there is demand.
To attract business.
To attract business. So at the end of the day, of course, bottom line, but they have to balance that with sustainability aspect, which, as mentioned, 15 years ago, very few green buildings because many developers would always say, it's so expensive, ang mahal gumawa ng green building. Meron bang kukuha niyan? May magbabayad ba? But today, yes, we're seeing that. In the past, they'll just build so that tenants will come in, the outsourcing firms, and in the past, POGO, they didn't care naman whether it's green or not, as long as the space will provide the office that they need, diba? The landlord will give them the space that they want. But today, companies are conscious, especially the big ones, the multinational firms, the blue chip companies. They really want to be in a building or in a location that has that in mind: green, sustainable, accessible. You want to live, work, and play in one area. Well, hopefully, if you can afford to live in an area where you also work there, but that's not the case. That's why in the Philippines, we want to see all that infrastructure projects to happen so that if people, the common Filipinos, cannot afford Metro Manila, they can live in the Calabarzon or North Luzon, but still be able to come to Manila to work because of the easy access, the public transportation, which we hope to see probably in the next 10 years. And Manila and Calabarzon, NCR, plus will be really sustainable that way. Livable city.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Sheila. What about, again, from Marion and maybe Architect Carlo? Of course, your project
Yes.
had an incentive.
Yes. Well, actually, as for the Pasig River urban development, we're currently actually developing the parameters and considerations for the whole stretch of the Pasig River in terms of incentivizing these green developments and programs. But of course, we're actually the ones been implementing the project itself. That's why we're actually collaborating with the Department of Environment, the MMDA, of course, they're very active in the coordination of the Pasig River urban development. But in terms of the department or the DSUD, I believe there are policies with regards to the incentivizing all these programs and projects. But of course, this is handled by the bureaus themselves. All right, if you want to add something, Architect Carlo.
Nothing naman. The development itself kasi it's like a canvas along the stretch of the Manila, no? So this one we invite or the different investors who want to participate to this development. So we also for them or for us to evaluate what they can contribute for this development. So as Architect Marion said, that there's a bureaus who evaluate of them, and we're really open. How can we apply it to our walkway esplanade infrastructure along the Pasig River?
Can we open the floor? I'd like to open the floor for questions from our students. I hope you're all enjoying. Did you learn a lot from our speakers this afternoon? Fantastic. Do you want to ask a question to our speakers? Ngayon lang to. Sayang naman. Come on. Anybody, do I have to say my price? Come on. Anybody have a question for our speakers, panelists? Don't be shy. Architectural question. There we go. We have one. Come on down. Don't be shy. We have a microphone over here. Please approach the mic. For architecture students, thanks for sticking around, for being with us. And after the program, you can claim your prizes over there at the function area. And please visit the booths. Can't really stress how important you get to know the companies who are present here today, our partner companies. Here's your question.
Good afternoon. My name is Reyes. In the real estate industry, particularly in your business, I understand that constructing buildings is a primary driver for profitability, and adopting sustainable building practices is essential. In the future, I would like to ask, as your company continues to develop real estate, how do you ensure that you give back to the land and the communities where these developments take place? Do you engage in any initiatives aimed at environmental restoration, preserving local ecosystems, or supporting the social and economic well-being of the area? If yes, where specifically have these initiatives been implemented? And what impact have they had on the local environment and community?
Hans and Jika? Yeah, Hans and Jika, that's you. Who would like to go
Are you ready
first?
to wait until tomorrow to ask that?
Okay, Hans first.
Well, that's a very big question. First, it's about also how we construct the building to make it more sustainable for the future. More and more, we're getting feedback from consumers themselves that they're looking for something more environment resistant and more environment friendly as well, because they feel it. They want windows that can block sunlight, lower their electricity bill. They want something that's flood resistant. So we're listening. We're definitely listening to that. The second one is the things
Giving
that we're
back to
doing
the community.
and definitely give back to the community. Making sure that we are able to support local communities when we're there, wherever we build. Green our carbon forests, for example, we talked about almost 800 hectares already. And that requires also working with different communities to be able to make sure that that is sustained, as opposed to just planting and then you walk away and then eventually those things die. We need to make sure that continues to thrive. So there's a lot of that happening within Ayala Land, along with all the other CSR work that we're doing, not just within Ayala Land, but across Ayala Corporation or other subsidiaries as well.
Thanks, Hans. Chika, would you like to pipe in?
Yeah, sure. So I think first, SMDC is huge in terms of our sustainability work, in terms of our community sustainability work. So we are big believers in developing and nurturing communities. It actually starts off with our malls development as well. So when we do come into an area, before we even purchase the land, we assess how we can help the local community. So whether that's giving jobs to the, and primarily hiring locally, supporting SMEs within the area, and then on the residential side, we figure out how we can have people who would typically not be living together then interact as a community, and how can they support each other. And then looking further than that, we work with LGUs and the barangays to make sure that we are respecting the people who live around. We want to then support it, so we have different initiatives like creating spaces for community centers and helping people who are have disabilities or older as well, or children. And so that's one way that we look at supporting communities. In terms of, I think from an architectural standpoint, we're looking at respecting the land. So there's this idea of creating green buildings. And we want to make sure that our buildings are using the least amount of emissions, the construction is greener. But what we actually believe in is that if we build it right once, that's actually going to be the least invasive. So we want to make sure that when we build a building, it's going to be lasting for a long time and a lifetime of that land. So that's how we believe that we can respect land better. That we are giving the most and most efficiency of the usage of the land the first time. And then that building will have a long lifetime. So we reduce the need to tear it down and reconstruct, create so much more waste. And so that's, for us, how we respect the environment.
Okay, yes, Hans?
Can I add another one? I just realized that when we talk about sustainability, it's not just environmental impact, but also economic and societal impact.
Yeah, sorry, your mic.
There's a few statistics that I saw within Ayala Land, and I think I remember the number right. But we have 7,000 employees within Ayala Land. But at the same time, we have 53,000 indirect contacts, meaning suppliers, the suppliers of our suppliers. So can you imagine the multiplier effect of the things that we do as a business? So yes, we are paying 7,000 people to work for us, but the impact on society is a multiple of that. So win-win, I think. And if we add the things that we do on net zero, I think it can really benefit society.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And on that note, I need to wrap things up because I believe your Father Reverend is here. So thank you very, very much for the question. May I ask my speakers to please stand and step forward for a group photo. Let's give our panelists a well-deserved round of applause for their generosity. Philip and professors, please step aside first. Speakers, please step forward. No, architect. Okay, we'll our first photo is with our speakers today for this afternoon session. Please do smile for the cameras. I'd like to ask the Manila Bulletin team to stand by. We have, of course, our editor, property editor, Irish. Yeah, wait, them first, the speakers first. Okay, everybody, smile. Thank you very, very much. Manila Bulletin team, come on up. And please join the photo. We have Miss Irish Lorenzo, We also have Mr. Ray Ilagan. Mr. Jordan Tan is here as well, joining Mr. Philip Kuunhing. Irish is the department head of MB's branded content group. And of course, Mr. Jordan Tan is the head of business development of Manila Bulletin. Smile, please, for the cameras. And lastly, our friends from UST, please step in. Join us again, our two professors, architects, everybody else, faculty of UST. And let's not forget, the University of Santo Tomas Secretary General is with us now, Reverend Father Louis R. Coronel, OPEHL. Please do join us for the father, for the photo. With this big group. Everybody smile for the photo. With that, thank you very, very much. Can we give our afternoon speakers a round of applause? Our UST faculty members who joined the talk, Mr. Philip Kuunhing. And now, UST, we give you for the closing remarks, your very own. We thank him for his presence here today. Ladies and gentlemen, the University of Santo Tomas Secretary General, Reverend Father Louis R. Coronel, OPEHL. Thank you so much for having us, Father.
Distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and valued participants, as we draw this inaugural sustainability focus session to a close, may I invite you to reflect on the journey we have embarked upon together. We gathered not merely to exchange thoughts, but to weave a compelling narrative, a story of how industries, the academe, individuals, and communities can unite for a sustainable future. What we can carry forward from today is not just a collection of ideas, but a profound challenge, an invitation to embody the wisdom shared and integrate these lessons into both our professional and personal lives. At the heart of our discussions lies the theme of collaboration. It is derived from the Latin collaborare, which means to work together. And this resonates deeply with us at the University of Santo Tomas, where our rector always inspires us to seek synergy, the notion that we can create something far greater than the sum of our individual efforts. Let us expand on this by considering another concept. We call it synodality, which literally translates to walking together. Rooted in Christian tradition, synodality encompasses the journey of a faith community, emphasizing not just collective action, but also the importance of listening to everyone, reflecting and discerning as we pursue shared goals and objectives. In this journey towards sustainability, we must recognize that it is a path forged in unison, not isolation. Sustainability transcends mere objectives. It represents a way of being in the world, a shared responsibility that compels us to act with compassion and commitment, ensuring that our planet remains habitable for the generations to come. Our planet Earth provides essential elements we often take for granted: clean air, nourishing food, and the natural resources that enhance our lives. Yet the pressing realities of environmental degradation, climate emergencies, and resource depletion challenge us to reconsider our lifestyles and consumption patterns. The urgency of this moment is palpable. As we confront these critical challenges, we must remember that it is not yet too late to make a difference. By embracing sustainable practices, reducing waste, and fostering a deeper connection to nature, we can alter our trajectory and safeguard the richness of our planet for the future. Every small step we take contributes to the collective effort to protect our common home. As we prepare to step into the world beyond this session, may we be encouraged to reflect on how every aspect of ourselves contributes to this mission. Let's begin with our eyes. With our eyes, it opens us to the beauty and fragility of our planet, awakening us to the wonders of creation and the challenges we face. Our eyes remind us, as Pope Francis teaches us, that the earth is among the most vulnerable of the poor. By acknowledging this truth, we are called to action. Next, consider our mouth, the voices of truth and justice. It is not enough to merely see. We must also speak out. We must be advocates for sustainable practices and amplify the call to care for our common home. The word we speak today should spark dialogues tomorrow, inspiring others to join in this endeavor. Then there are our hands, tools of transformation. They help us turn vision into reality, whether by crafting policies or engaging in hands-on efforts. Our hands carry the responsibility of building sustainable future. Let us not forget our feet, which symbolize the journey ahead. Sustainability is not a sprint, but a marathon requiring perseverance. It is our feet that carry us down this long road, embodying the spirit of synodality. We move forward not alone, but together. Finally, we come to our hearts, the core of our commitment. Our hearts guide us with love and compassion, connecting us to the deeper purpose of our work. This heart beats not only for ourselves, but also for the future generations and all of God's creation. The Gospel of Matthew tells us, where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. Let us treasure this earth and place our heart into its care, treating it with respect and reverence it deserves. Dear friends, we see that sustainability is not merely a task for our hands or a cause for our minds. It is a calling that engages our whole being, eyes to see, mouths to speak, hands to work, feet to walk, and hearts to love. If we can engage all these facets of ourselves in our mission, we will truly honor the earth and safeguard it for those who follow us. In the document Laudato Si of Pope Francis on our common home, human beings, he said, while capable of the worst, are also capable of rising above themselves, choosing again what is good, and making a new start. Today marks a moment of renewal, an opportunity to walk this path together with hope, renewing that our actions today will shape the world tomorrow. On behalf of the Very Reverend Father Richard G. Ang of the Order of Preachers, the Rector of the University of Santo Tomas, I sincerely thank you for your participation, insights, and commitment as we conclude this inaugural Manila Bulletin Sustainability Focus Session. May we depart with our eyes open to the beauty of creation, our mouths ready to speak the truth, our hands prepared to work, our feet willing to walk, and our hearts filled with compassion for our common home. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much. Father Louis, sorry, may I invite you to please come center stage. Let's have a photo with you and the Manila Bulletin team. Jordan, of course, our editor, and our columnist, Miss Irish from Embrand. Let's have a quick photo op with Father Louis. And there you go, let's squeeze in. Step forward, please. Step forward near the stairs. There you go. Smile for the cameras. And then maybe ask again the rest of the UST team faculty. Come on up, join the photo op as well. Team UST, thank you very, very much for this partnership between the Manila Bulletin and UST. Give it a round of applause for your professors, teachers, everybody. And while they're smiling for the cameras, guess what? I'm going to announce the last ones who will take home some prizes. Watson's gift packs go to Lorenzo Cumbate, Donica May Porivkas, Almin Soriano, Jean Rose Lasquite, and Mitzi Monarch Luna. Thank you very much again, Father Louis, Team UST, and Manila Bulletin team. Again, Lorenzo Combate, Danica May Poriyucas, Almin Soriano, Jean Rose Lasquite, Mitzi Monarch Luna. You can now go over there. Guess what? You can go claim. If you heard your name, go over there and claim your prizes. Lastly, coffee shop gift certificates go to Christine Salcedo, Russell Cruz, Shelo Uy, Angela Liagas, Paulo Miguel Catolos, and Lelena Isabel Garcia. Don't be shy. Bring out your ID and claim your prizes right now over there. Can you give us a wave? You want to claim your prizes? They're right over there, the one in the maroon table. So please, that concludes our program for today. But we encourage you to please visit the booths downstairs of our partner booths, collect the stamps, come back upstairs so you can claim some sweet treats from Manila Bulletin. For now, my name's Isa Leto, and saying thank you for coming here to the inaugural Manila Bulletin Sustainability Focus Session. Please apply what you learned, and we look forward to you contributing to your own future. Have a good Wednesday. What's today? Monday. Start of the week, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the week. Bye.